Okay, question one said, how have recent historical events affected the course of both research and practice in organizational psychology? And so my first thought about how recent developments have changed um, both research and practice in organizational psychology is what are the impetus for those changes? So the first, of course, is the development of newer technology that allows for remote work, that requires technological training for workers, things like that. The second is the growing demographics of the United States and how the demographic changes necessitate interaction between different types of people in the workplace. And then third, the effect of COVID-19, the pandemic, and what that did to the placement of work and what organizations had to do in order to continue their work during the pandemic. So one study I want to look at, or one aspect, is the study of remote work and hybrid models. And so there's a big study done by Moran and Carlos in 2023. They looked at the effect of work stress in those models, and then also how does social support mitigate that stress. And so there are some positives of this distance work, things like more worker autonomy and worker commitment, worker satisfaction all went up during that time. And of course, there were savings in terms of time and energy. Some negatives that they noted in their study were things like work stress from technology, and that some workers not only stressed about the technology, but also weren't able to do their job properly because they weren't schooled in the technology that was necessary. It also increased some family work conflict, and that makes sense because if you're doing work at your home, it's more likely to interfere with other things that are going on at your home, such as having a family. And then it seemed like there was a barrier to management and control during that time, which also is sensible. If you're at home, you're not in face-to-face contact with a manager, and so that can lessen the organization's ability to manage and control your work. Another thing is diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's a newer realm that OI psychology is going into, and of course that's related to the diversity of the workforce and the fact that the workforce is not getting less diverse but more diverse, and therefore those interactions between different types of people are going to increase. And Sheely and Rich in 2021 looked at the importance of talking about inclusion in the workforce and doing training and emphasizing the necessity for this inclusion in diverse organizations. And they found it important in increasing performance in the workplace in order to do that. So there seemed to be a finding that it's very important to emphasize diversity, equity, and inclusion in order to keep your organization working at its maximum capacity. There's also the idea of employee engagement and satisfaction. So there's been a change, again, from just efficiency to retention of employees and keeping them satisfied. And so Sachs 2021 looked at how to keep employees engaged and keep them motivated. And he found that the more engaged an employee is, the more they feel ownership, the more that they feel like they're part of the planning process at the organization, the more likely they are to stay engaged, and the more likely they are to stay with the organization as well. And finally, the idea of agile and flexible workplaces or work practices comes in Morgan. This is 2021, found flexible work practices can be motivating. And so this is the idea of working from home sometimes, working hybrid sometimes, and having the options. And that seems to also keep workers motivated.